What's up, everyone? Welcome to my new channel on YouTube focused on filmmaking and production tech reviews from pre to post. Now, if this is our first time meeting, I'm Melissa Knight. I'm a hacker turned filmmaker as the writer, director, and executive producer at Knight Studios. I'm also a post-production instructor at RED Studios Hollywood, teaching DaVinci Resolve to filmmakers wanting to master editing and color grading using DaVinci. Now on this channel, you'll find reviews of the equipment our film production company Knight Studios uses on the set of our TV series and feature films. The purpose of this channel is to teach you how to use the same gear and software we use in our productions. On this channel, I'll also be covering the pre-production processes we use, as well as editing and color grading and post-production using DaVinci Resolve. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to set up and use the new Deity TC-1 timecode boxes and TC-SL1 smart slate and their new ecosystem of timecode generators. I'll also walk you through configuring your RED Komodo and RED V-Raptor, as well as your sound device's MixPre-10 sound recorder to use the Deity TC-1, which as of right now, there's no videos on YouTube that explain how to do that. First, I'll start out with a PowerPoint to explain exactly what timecode is in production and how to use it to sync audio and video in post. Then we'll do an unboxing of all the Deity devices, and finally, I'm going to walk you through making it all work together. Because of the length of this video, I will be setting chapters for you to skip ahead to sections most relevant to you. So follow along with me as I get ready for returning back to set at Knight Studios to film the next episode of Dark Ops with this new Deity timecode system. Okay, so here we go. So first I'm going to explain exactly what timecode is. Timecode is a system that measures time by dividing it into frames and sometimes subframes. It was developed in 1967 for film production by EECO, an electronics company that developed video recorders to keep track of individual shots when there were multiple cameras filming at the same time. So at Knight Studios, what we'll do is we'll set up multiple cameras. We'll have an A camera, a B camera. Our A camera is the RED V-Raptor. Our B camera is the RED Komodo. And in the next production, we're actually planning on folding in a third RED camera, which is another RED Komodo. Now, you typically, when you're doing a multicam setup, one of the most common issues is how do you take all of those video files and then sync that up with a separate sound recording of the individual lavalier mics or boom mic being recorded by your, for example, sound device's MixPre-10, which is what I'm going to be walking you through how to set up today. Whatever your sound recorder is, typically the biggest challenge in post-production is to sync those video files with that audio. The most common form of timecode displays in hours, minutes, seconds, and frames on a linear display as HH:/MM:/SS:/FF format, or as an alphanumeric string. So the Deity TC-1 is going to look very similar to this format, and I'll show you that in the unboxing and when we get this up and running. There's different types of synchronization. So one thing you will hear is genlock or genlock sync. This is used to synchronize multiple video sources, field rates to be in a phase with each other, important for live feeds. Software aligns frames for all footage in post. So genlock is typically not going to be important on a production set where you've got a post-production process. Usually genlock is used during TV broadcasting, where you really don't have the opportunity to take that video footage into post, where the software will typically align all those frames for you. So genlock is typically used in live broadcasts. In word clock, this is used to synchronize multiple digital audio sources. So notice the distinction there between genlock and word clock. Genlock is video, word clock is audio. And they typically synchronize multiple digital audio sources or sample rates to be in phase with each other. They're found on set if there's more than one recorder and wanted to make sure their clocks were completely in phase with each other. So let's say, for example, your production team doesn't have just one MixPre-10 on set. Maybe you have two MixPre-10s or three MixPre-10s. Word clock is used to be able to actually sync all those different audio sources and sample rates together. So the definition of timecode according to Wikipedia is a timecode is a sequence of numeric codes generated at regular intervals by a timing synchronization system, which is the Deity TC-1. Now, we will most commonly be using, because of our industry, the SMPTE protocol, which basically is an acronym for Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. And there's two types. There's LTC and VTC. We will be using LTC. It's the most common. And the format for that, again, is hours, minutes, seconds, frames. Okay, so you can pick up the Deity TC-1 from pretty much anywhere. Amazon has it for $150 per. They do have a multi-pack that Deity offers of 3 devices, 3 TC-1s in one single pack. But if you look at the comments on that and the reviews, there's a lot of people who were upset and found out that they didn't have all the cables that they needed in that kit. So you get 3 actual timecode boxes, but unfortunately, I believe they only give you 1. So you don't get all the cables. You're going to end up having to go buy them. I just ended up buying just the 1 and ended up buying all the cables individually. The neat thing about this particular pack, if you buy this one, is you will get the cold shoe mount along with it to mount it to your camera. I do want to stress this, and you'll see me talking about this in each and every slide, is that the Deity TC-1 does need to remain connected to every single reader. It needs to be connected to every single camera and your sound devices, MixPre-10. So just something to remember. What we're probably going to end up doing is doing some sort of double-sided Velcro and just mount those on each side of the camera systems and the MixPre. So again, they aren't that expensive. You can also obviously pick it up at B&H or Adorama, wherever you get your audio video equipment from. The most important thing is going to be the cables. Now, understand that different camera bodies will have different types of ports for timecode. So the RED Komodo and the V-Raptor use a 9-pin LEMO adapter. So I really can't complain about Alvin's cables. They're high quality cables. I ended up actually buying 5 of them. You know what they say in film production, 1 is none and 2 is 1. So I always want to have backups, but the RED V-Raptor and the RED Komodo have the same exact timecode port. It's a 9-pin LEMO. So this is unfortunately an expensive cable. It's $59.99 on Amazon. But if you think about, you know, if you have a RED V-Raptor, RED Komodo, a $59 cable isn't going to mean that much. The accessories like the expander blade, which I'll also talk about here in a moment, is a few $100. These are things that unfortunately audio video is not a cheap thing to be in. So on the cable, the 3.5 millimeter end will plug into the Deity TC-1, and then the 9-pin LEMO will connect into your camera body. And that's in the EXT port of both camera bodies, and I'll show you that here in a moment. So this is our setup. I created a diagram for you to have a better understanding how everything is connected with the Deity TC-1 system. We need to get timecode into every device and have them all running the same exact timecode, right? There are 3 ways a device can maintain and record timecode information. Timecode generator, which is able to generate its own timecode and output to readers. Timecode reader, which takes a continuous external timecode signal and inputs it into the device. And then the audio recorder, which simply records an audio LTC signal. So we have all of those here on the desk. Our readers are, of course, the RED camera systems. The TC-1, of course, is the timecode generator. And then the audio recorder is, of course, the MixPre-10. So let's talk about what the TC-1 setup is. So the TC-1 setup is actually pretty simple. All you really need to do is make sure that the frame rate matches up with the camera and that the out type section is set to L out. And I'll show you how to do that. But you want to sync up with your cinematographer or DP, your camera operator. Make sure that the frame rate on the camera is matched up with the frame rate on the TC-1. So if you're shooting at 23.98 frames per second, or you're shooting at 60 frames per second, whatever it is, the TC-1 needs to match that frame rate that's configured in your camera. So once you've set the frame rate on the TC-1, you want to scroll over to out type in the menu and then change that out type. I believe the default is A out. You need to change that to L out. Now for the RED Komodo and V-Raptor timecode setup, it's exactly the same. That's why I've got them both on the same slide. So you're going to buy that Alvin cable or whatever cable you want to buy, and you want to make sure that it's got a 3.5 millimeter on one end and a 9-pin LEMO on the other. That plugs directly into the EXT port of the RED Komodo and the RED V-Raptor. I'm going to show you that here in a moment, but just remember it plugs right into the EXT. Now, over here on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see the expander blade that RED sells. What this does is it basically takes the EXT port, that 9-pin LEMO port, and it basically converts it to a 5-pin, which is a little bit more common, and changes the gen lock input via BNC. So something to remember is that, you know, it's going to be a lot more common to find the 5-pin than the 9-pin LEMO. That's the only point of buying this. You do not need to buy the expander blade in order for all this to work. Again, it's if you have, for example, a 5-pin already, and you don't want to have to go out and buy 9-pin cables, and you just want to keep that 5-pin LEMO, and your gen lock is a BNC, then buy the expander blade. Again, that isn't very cheap. So the RED Komodo and V-Raptor timecode setup is very simple. You're just going to go into your menu system. You're going to scroll over to the audio TC setting in the menu, and you're going to change your timecode source to external. Now, some camera systems will have an internal timecode generator. Most people do not use it. It's not very accurate. They have issues. Just understand that, like, for example, the RED camera system does have an internal timecode generator. Also, as a matter of fact, the MixPre-10 has one as well. But you're going to go ahead and switch that to external, so it'll take in the timecode information from the TC1. Then you're going to scroll over on the timecode display and set that mode to TOD. Once you set that, you're going to just mount your TC1 to the camera. Again, do not disconnect the TC1. It needs to be constantly feeding that timecode information to the camera while you're on set. Now, for the sound devices MixPre-10, there's a little bit more to it. Other MixPre devices like the MixPre-3 use the mic input port. I want to make that clear. Not all devices will have the BNC port like the MixPre-10. The MixPre-10 has a BNC TC in and a BNC TC out. The MixPre-10 is, of course, more expensive than the Mix3, but the MixPre-3 does have a mic input port, and it uses that for the timecode signal receiver. So to set this, you're just going to go to menu, you're going to go to out, and then you're going to set L out on the output. You're going to go to menu mode, set advanced mode, and then menu timecode TC mode BNC in, and then you're going to ignore the U bits. That really isn't necessary. U bits basically is like a device identifier. Unless your director specifically says, if the production team specifically says, we want U-bits turned on, just don't worry about it. And if your director looks at you like a deer in headlights when you ask about U-bits, you probably can just ignore it and not worry about it. TC1 must remain connected to the MixPre-10 even after filming. Okay, so one thing I do want to mention is that the TC1, as well as their slate, are all Bluetooth enabled. So they're all smart devices. So I have not actually unboxed any of these devices yet. I have not unboxed the TC1. I have not unboxed the Smart Slate. So I'm going to download the app on my iPhone, and then we're going to walk through setting up the devices with the Sidus audio link, and I'm going to walk through the installation of that and configuration. So let's get to it. All right, so this is the most exciting part. This is what I've been looking forward to for the last couple months since these arrived. I've had these for like several months, and I haven't opened them because I wanted to do this unboxing video. So I'm super excited about that. So as you can see here, I have 3 TC1s in front of me. I'll just kind of go through everything on the desk at the moment. This is the TC-SL1. This is the Smart Slate that we're going to be configuring as well in unboxing. And over here to my left, this is the RED V-Raptor. That's connected to the AC adapter, so I don't have to worry about the battery running out. Speaking about batteries, let me check this. All right, 72%, that's fine. All right, and then this is the RED Komodo. As you can see, the body of the RED Komodo is a lot smaller than the V-Raptor. It's a lot lighter. It's just a lot easier to run and gun with the RED Komodo versus the V-Raptor. You have to remember also there are no lenses on these, so imagine how much more weight, lens system, the matte box, everything, the screen adds on weight to these camera bodies. But this is the Komodo. And then over here, I have the MixPre-10. The MixPre-10 has 10 inputs on it, which is the reason for the 10. And then that is actually connected to a little small rig. These are actually really cool. I'm excited about these batteries. I don't know if any of you have heard of these. These are the new V-mount D-tap batteries from Small Rig. This is the 50. We bought like 5 of these. We bought 5 of the 99s. You know, there's 3 different sizes, I want to say, and we bought basically 5 of each one. I just love how small and light this is. You won't believe how. I think this is actually lighter than the MixPre-10, if you can believe that. Now, the interesting thing here is with these Small Rig batteries is you can connect all sorts of different devices to them in addition to what you're powering here through the D-tap port. So, you know, this has an 8-volt out, 12-volt out. It's got USB-C, USB-A. It's just super light, compact, and has a lot of ports. So you could actually power your MacBook or your tablets or your phone with this thing. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. I love these things. So the MixPre-10 is hooked up to this to power it. When we are on set, we power it through a V-mount just like this. I'm actually thinking of moving the V-mount battery to these new Small Rig V-mounts. They're just so small and compact. Let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. The first thing I'll unbox is the Timecode box TC-1. So you're just gonna remove the tape on the sides. I do have to say, I love Deity's logo. This whole black and yellow thing is absolutely cool. It seems like everyone's company color is blue. So it's really nice to see, you know, actually a different company color identity brand. This black yellow is awesome. All right, so their packaging, awesome. Love it. All right, so you just flip up the box in the top. We've got a QR code here. All right, so this QR code isn't a link to actually download Sidus link. It's to their help center. Looks like we've got some stickers. All right, looks like we've got other QR codes in here, I'm assuming to the app. All right, so cool stickers. Awesome. I might actually put those up. I usually don't put stickers up, but those are actually pretty cool. All right, some silica. All right. Okay. All right, yeah. So that's a link to the app. All right, so there's 2 QR codes in here. One is a link to the Sidus WeChat. Why is it loading the WeChat app? Let's try that again. I don't know what's going on here. I cannot open the page because the address is invalid. Yeah, that's weird. All right, so we should probably let, oh, okay, there's 2 on here. Okay, so this is for the user manual. Jesus, all these QR codes. Oops. Let's try that. All right, so this is for the manual. If you want to follow the manual. All right, I'll click on that. This is for, I guess, the setup guide. Kind of walk you through it. All right, so we'll walk through this. So we need to download the Sidus audio app from the App Store. So let's just manually search for it. I don't know. You know what I would have done is with maybe instead of the help center, I would have, or at least included a QR code for a link to the app. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna manually go over to the App Store and do a search for Sidus audio. So if you just type in Sidus in the App Store, you'll see Sidus Link, which is what Aperture uses for controlling its lights. Here's the Sidus audio app. We'll go ahead and download that. I wonder what the relationship is between Aperture, Deity, Sidus Link. I'm just never heard of Sidus Link until Aperture. Now they're using it for these timecode systems, so it's interesting. All right, sure, whatever. All right, privacy policy. Okay, so we've got a blank page here. And then what we're gonna wanna do is go ahead and add the devices to the app. So it looks like the Deity TC-1 has the Velcro already on it, which is great. We don't have to do that. This is your turning wheel for navigating the menu system and the settings. Here's your 3.5 millimeter port. This is your charging port for USB-C, and then your power button. So let's see if this thing has any juice. All right. Looks like we're good to go, and it immediately just quickly booted up. All right, so we've got a blinking red sync button on there. Let's go ahead and get this synced. And I'm gonna click plus. Okay, so when you first open the TC-1, it's automatically locked. So to unlock it, you need to short press the yellow button 3 times, and it will allow you to actually move through the menu items. So we're just going to click on the Bluetooth symbol. I don't know if you can see that very well, everyone. Apologize if not. But I'll just kind of narrate as I'm doing this. So right now, Bluetooth is off. We want to do a Bluetooth reset, and then you're going to hit yes. And then it should show up in our app. Did you see that, everyone? All right, so now the TC-1 box has shown up in the app. Let's click on it and click Setup. And then the pairing is successful. So as you can see now, the pair LED is blue. It looks like sync is still blinking red, but I have a feeling that has something to do with when it's syncing with the camera system. So we're fine. At this point, it looks like it's all set up. We can click on it and we can go ahead and pull up the actual timecode on it. We can see that it's perfectly synced with the app. All right, so let's go ahead, and it does look like it's a full battery. It has 17 hours and 7 minutes left on the battery, which is awesome. So we've got that all set up. I'm going to go ahead and take the cold shoe mount and stick it to the back of it. Looks like we also get a little accessory box here. I'm assuming this is just a USB-C cable for charging it. Yeah. Looks like we've got some extra felt pads here. I'll be nice and tidy and neat about this. All right. Oh, look, a little happy face there. That's cute. Yeah, they did a really good job with their packaging. I'm very impressed. This is nice. All right, so it looks like they include a 3.5 millimeter audio cable. So if you want to connect this, for example, to a MixPre-10, you would have the ability to just use the included cable. Because we're using the Raptor and the Komodo, obviously we can't use this, but just something to think about. Beautiful cable though, black and yellow again with the branding. We've got some extra felt pads or Velcro pads. And this, again, just as I thought would be a charging cable, it is. If you don't, for example, have USB-A on your device, they include a little adapter, which is cool, along with that. So we've got USB-C on both sides. Cool. All right, so it doesn't look like there's anything else in the box, so we'll just continue unboxing the other TC-1s. I'm going to just put this box back together. I want to create a huge mess here. All right, so go back to the main menu. Let's pull out the other TC-1s. All right, same deal. We don't need any of this anymore. I'll leave the accessories in there. I'll just pull these out. I will go ahead and turn this on. And then again, short press 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and that should lock or unlock the screen. And that's weird, that's interesting. So I don't know if you noticed that, but this one was unlocked when I turned it on, and that one was locked. So I don't know how they come out of manufacturing, but it looks like this one was unlocked. I would just move the wheel first. If you can't move it, then it means it's locked and you just need to unlock it. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do the Bluetooth reset. And we'll go ahead and add it now. It recognized it in our app. Hopefully all of you can see that set up. And then it looks like pairing was successful. All right, so we have 2 TC1s now. So I'm going to go ahead and set that there. I'll leave those accessories in there, put the box back together. And let's go ahead and squish that on there. Same deal. Man, this camera system, it's getting pretty hot in here. Got the door closed. All right. Might need to turn on the air conditioner here in a minute. It's getting hot with this lighting and everything. All right, so I'll pull this out, one with the silica, turn this on, just long press that. All right, so it looks like by default it does come out unlocked. I don't know why the other one was locked. All right, so Bluetooth off, reset, yes. Go into our app and we're gonna hit setup. Looks like it immediately saw it. And pairing was successful. So pretty easy setup. Doesn't require rocket science. All right, so we are ready to hook these up and connect them with our camera systems. I'm gonna put this box back together real fast. All right. The TC-SL1. This should be interesting. All right, so before on set, we were using another smart slate. It wasn't, actually, I shouldn't call it a smart slate. It was an electronic slate. And to sync it with audio, we would just hook it up the same way with the MixPre-10. Now, this new TC-SL1 from Deity, which I'm super excited about, actually is Bluetooth enabled. Looks like it comes with a really cool case. Little carrying case here. Put that box aside. Wow. Now the TC-SL1 is more expensive than the TC1, but you have to remember that slates in general, especially electronic slates, they're not cheap. The other slate that we have that we're going to end up selling on Gear Focus or something, that cost us over $1,000. I want to say it was $1,400. I believe the TC-SL1 is around $1,000 or $1,200. So they'll cost you over $1,000 to buy one. All right, so nice case here. I think we'll definitely probably keep the case. We usually pull, our audio video equipment out and put them into a Pelican case. Many of you have probably seen my other videos where I did a tour of all of our Pelican cases and the shelves in the storage area. But yeah, this is cool. We'll have to definitely keep this. So this is for writing on your slate. All right, so let's pull this out. So we've got our silica. And it looks like we have a USB cable in here. Let's take a look at this. See what we get. Probably for charging. And I'm seeing a 3.5 millimeter cable in here. All right, so it looks like they include a 5-pin. Now, do you remember earlier during the PowerPoint, I told all of you that the more common connector type for timecode cable is 5-pin LEMO? That's exactly, this just underscores my point. This is a 5-pin LEMO. So, with the MixPre-10, that's actually going to be a BNC connector. I'll explain that in a moment, but looks like you have a 3.5 millimeter to 5-pin LEMO for the timecode slate. Got a USB cable. USB-A to C, and they were kind enough to include an adapter if you don't have USB-A. I'm really looking forward to USB-A just going away and going the way of the PS1 port for keyboards, if all of you remember IBM PS1 ports. But yeah, I would love to just finally see everything just standardized to Thunderbolt for USB-C, whatever. But yeah, so it looks like we've got some cables here and the slate itself. All right. So the TC-SL1, first of all, very, very nice attention to detail. I mean, that's some sort of aluminum. I love it. I love the handle in the back. The inside of the handle looks to have some sort of black rubber there for when you're holding it. So this is very cool. I don't know if this is walnut on the top. This is probably maybe a veneer, but that is very cool. Very nice attention to detail. I got to say, this is probably one of the highest quality slates I've ever seen. Very nice. Now, there's a button on the side here that allows you to actually change the orientation. So this is very cool. Let's turn this on. That's awesome. That is awesome. So the interesting thing here is it immediately gives us the timecode readout. So again, this is designed to work with all the TC1s. So let's go ahead and get this set up and added to our app. So on the bottom here, it looks like we've got 2 batteries. Very nice. Yep. An A and B battery. That is very cool. Very nice. All right, so let's go ahead and scroll through the menu system. It looks like it's locked. This one, this one's locked too. All right, so it's same exact menu as the TC1, as you can see. We're going to scroll over to the Bluetooth icon. We're going to do a Bluetooth reset. And then we're going to go ahead and add this to our app. Looks like it immediately popped up on our app right there. And I'll move this out of the way. All right, so we're going to put the check mark on the TC-SL1, hit setup, and immediately it's added to our app. All right, so we now have our entire TC1 timecode ecosystem from Deity in our app. We have the 3 TC1s, and now we have the TC-SL1. All right. So that does it for the unboxing portion of this video. We're now going to go through and connect each individual TC1 to the camera systems and walk through the configuration for each camera, as well as the MixPre-10. Okay, so now that we've added all of the devices to our app, we're going to go ahead and walk through one by one, configuring each camera system with the TC1. So I'm going to start with the V-Raptor since it's the closest to me. All right, let's go ahead and walk through now configuring the TC1. And we're just going to make sure that our frame rate, as you can see here in the camera, the frame rate is 23.98. And we want to make sure that the frame rate on the Deity TC-1, 1, 2, 3, that's locked. We want to make sure that the frame rate on the TC-1 matches the frame rate on the Raptor. So here I am clicking on the frame rate of the menu and I'm changing that to 2398. And then, so to go to the output menu, you're going to scroll over to O, and then you're going to change that to L out. All right, so we have the 2 settings that we need to match up. 23.98 frames per second, 2398 frames per second, and L out. That's all we need to set on the TC1. All right, so now we need to grab the correct cable for the V-Raptor. And that is going to be our 9-pin LEMO cable. All right, so there you go. There's your Alvin's cables, 9-pin LEMO to 3.5 millimeter cable. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the Raptor on its front, allowing me access to the ports in the back. And I'm going to just go ahead and plug it right into this EXT port. I did actually purchase the expansion blade, but because of our camera rig, this is not fully rigged out, of course, the way we have it on set. But because of the way our rig is designed, there's actually no room for the expander blade. So I'm sure there's a way for us to make room. We just haven't done it yet. So I'm perfectly fine with using the 9-pin LEMO. So I'm going to go ahead and take this. And you want to be really careful, of course, when you're going into these ports to not bend pins. Now, there is a little red dot here that you can line up. I don't know if any of you can see that, but there's a little red dot on the top of this LEMO adapter. And there's a little red dot here, so it should help in lining things up. There you go. Little snap. Again, just, you don't want to bend or break pins, so be careful you're not forcing anything. All right, so now that that's connected, you can all see that the time code on the display of the V-Raptor is totally not in sync with the Deity. So here it's got 2 hours, 47 minutes, and 46 seconds. And then here, you can see it's 1956. And so we want to make sure all of this is just synced up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and configure the V-Raptor to use the TC-1 as its timecode source. So we're going to go into the menu system. We're going to hit audio/TC, and then we're going to scroll down to timecode source. And right now it's set to internal TOD. And we want to go ahead and change that to external. Okay. Okay, so once we've set that to external, we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And then we're going to go ahead and go down here to timecode display mode. And we're going to make sure instead of edge that that's set to TOD. Looks like it's already set to TOD and we're good to go. That's it. That's all you have to do, everyone. So we hit the menu button. And now look at that, everybody. Look at that. That is a perfect sync. See that number right there is matched up with the number right there on our TC-1. All right. So that timecode information for all the video files, the RED raw files that we are going to be recording, that the camera writes to the CF card, is going to have that timecode information baked into the file. And then in post-production in DaVinci Resolve, we're going to use that information to have DaVinci Resolve automatically align all of the video clips with the audio. That's all we have to do, because all of this timecode information is going to be baked into the camera systems and the audio files that are recorded by the MixPre-10. All right. So now that this is done, we want to go ahead and get this. Well, for now, I'm not going to stick this to the camera body because it isn't fully rigged out at the moment. I want to make sure we're very careful on where we decide to put the Velcro. So I'm just going to set this off to the side now for heat dissipation issues, because it's so hot in here. I'm going to turn it off. This V-Raptor puts out a lot of heat. All right. Okay. So now we're going to do the Komodo, and it's the same exact setup process for the RED Komodo. Got our cables all tied up here. All right, so I'm going to set the V-Raptor off to the side. Just going to put it out of sight, out of mind. All right, now let's go ahead and do the same thing for the Komodo. So again, the Komodo, the port is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be the EXT port. And I'm going to take this Deity TC-1 and I'm going to hook up the cable for it. All right, so I'm going to line up the red dots. Where's that red dot at? All right, so the red dot's right there. And we're just going to line that up with the red dot here, which is off to the side. And we're just going to plug that right in. All right, so let's look at the screen on the Komodo. And as you can see on the Komodo, it is not synced up. So right now it says 257, and on our data it's 2033. And you can also all see that on the app as well. Or I'll move this over a little bit more since we have a little bit more space. And we're just going to go into the same menu system. So we're going to go over here to Audio TC. So I love about RED, it's all the same. So we're going to say that the timecode source, instead of internal TOD, we're going to change that to external. And we're going to go to timecode display, and we're going to make sure that that is set to TOD. Okay, that's it. And look at that. 2116. Awesome. And we have a perfect sync with the Komodo. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off as well. It's getting a little crowded on my desk. Just want to clear all this out. I'm going to actually just leave that on the table. You guys are all probably saying, oh my God, I can't believe she put the $40,000 V-Raptor on the floor and she put the $6,000 Komodo on her desk. I know, it's reversed. I should have put that on the desk, shouldn't I? All right. So now that the camera systems are completely set up and synced, the final item that we need to go and handle now is the MixPre-10. Okay, so the MixPre-10 is going to be obviously different, and it's got more steps than the RED cameras. To configure the MixPre-10 to use the Deity, we're going to actually even use a completely different cable. So the MixPre-10, like I mentioned earlier, that's going to be a BNC connector type. So let's go ahead and pull that cable out of the bag. Again, research what the connector type is for your particular sound recorder. But the MixPre-10, for those of you who are watching this video because you own a MixPre-10, just understand that the MixPre-10 uses a BNC connector. And I pulled out the wrong cable. Okay, so the MixPre-10, like I mentioned earlier, does not use a 9-pin LEMO like the RED camera system. It uses a BNC adapter. I went with a completely different brand for this. So the brand I went with is EonVic. I looked at the reviews. The reviews on it were great. And so here you can see it's a 3.5 millimeter to BNC timecode cable. All right. So again, research what the connector type is for your particular sound recorder. I'm assuming that a lot of you watching this videos probably have the MixPre-10. So just know that it's a BNC connector. All right. So it's pretty simple. You're going to find the BNC connector on the side. If you're looking at the front of the sound devices of the MixPre-10, it's going to be on the left-hand side. So if you're looking at it like this, the connector's on the left-hand side, and you're going to look for TC in. Okay. So we have the TC in here. That's connected. And we're going to go ahead and connect this to the TC-1. Okay, so first things first, you want to make sure that you go and set this to advanced mode. Click on the hamburger icon from the to access the menu system. I believe it's on the third menu page. You click on System, and then you go to Mode, and you just make sure that you're in advanced mode. That's going to be super important. All right, so next you're going to go to the menu, and then you're going to go to Timecode. And then you're going to want to make sure that TC mode is set to BNC in. All right, that's all you do. Make sure it's set to BNC in. If you are on set and the director does want to use the U-bits, you can go ahead and click set U-bits, and that's where you would set the U-bits. Again, I've never used them, and I've rarely ever heard of anyone on their set using it. So, I mean, unless you specifically are being asked to use it, you can just ignore it. All right, so BNC out timecode. All right, the most important thing is that TC mode is set to BNC in. And that's it. So if we go back, if you look at that timecode there, it should be synced up with what our TC1 is saying. And look at that. Perfectly synced. That's it. That is all you do. This is all you do. All right. So let's go ahead and turn this off. I'm going to turn off the MixPre-10. Okay, so with the TC-SL1, there really isn't much to do with this. We're just going to go over a couple of the settings. The most important thing is to make sure that, again, your frame rate, very similar to the TC1s. As a matter of fact, if you look at that screen, it looks very similar, almost exactly similar to the TC1. So we're going to go in here and we're just going to change our frame rate. Right now it's set to 25. And let's go ahead and set that to 23.98, since that's what our camera systems and our TC1s are set to. And that's pretty much it. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple cool things on the slate. First and foremost, there's a little notch on the back that allows you to insert your thumb in there. And then you've got your timecode information, of course, on the screen. And then what I like, of course, is the backlit in the case that you're shooting in a dark area. Now, if you look here on the side, you'll see a little switch that allows you to actually change the orientation. So if you want to use tail, you can do that. And if you have to turn it upside down, of course, your timecode information is not upside down when you do that. Just flip it back and you've got that same information. All right, so that's pretty much it. Now, one thing we want to do, of course, is make sure that the slate is synced with all of the TC1s. To do that, we're just going to go to the main menu system. As you can see, all of the TC1s are perfectly synced, but the slate is not. So to do that, we're just going to hit sync all. And it should sync all of our devices together. So now all of our TC1s are all synced, and they're synced with the slate. All right, so that's it. Everything's up and running. It's all perfectly synced together. All of the devices are synced up with the correct, accurate timecode information, including our RED Komodo, our V-Raptor, our sound devices, MixPre-10, even our slate. And on top of it, we have a very cool app to control all of this with. Now, the interesting information on the TC-SL1 is that if you click on it within the app, you can go over here to settings, and you can pull up additional information from the slate, such as the frame rate. You can even set up custom fields as well. So, all right, so that's it. Thank you so much for joining me in this new episode of Nightlight. We've got all of our devices ready to go. We're going to be on set of Dark Ops on Tuesday. So today's Sunday night when I'm filming this. So I'll have all of tomorrow to sort of get everything prepped and ready. We're going to do a BTS video while we're on set. So definitely keep an eye out for that video. And then I will see you in the next episode of Nightlight. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.